Okay, guys, Boker Tov, Shavua Tov. Looks like we're a couple minutes late. We are at the top of Yutet Amud Aleph 19a. We're at the top line. So we had the Mishnah opened on Yudchet Amud Bet with Stam Nedarim L'Achmir, where there's a Safek when it comes to Nedarim. And we go stringent on a Safek. So what was an example of a Safek Neder? So we said something like, "Oh, I promise I'll give $100 to tzedakah if there is 100 pounds of wheat over there." And then the 100 pounds of wheat got burnt, so we couldn't measure if it was exactly 100 pounds or not. So it's a safek if his neder came into play or not. We go stringent. But then the Gemara asks the question: when it comes to nazir, if a person says, "I'm going to be a nazir," if there's 100 pounds of wheat there, let's say, and that 100 pounds of wheat burns, we can't measure was it exactly 100 or not, whatever. So safek of nazir is lenient. So nazir, to become a nazir is also a promise, is a neder. So what's the ruling? The Gemara says there's a machloket between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbanan. If stam nedarim is lachmir or stam or leakel, and that's what we left off with. There's a machloket, and we said that stam nezirut leakel, to be lenient, and nezirut is Rabbi Eliezer's opinion, and to be stringent, that is Rabbanan's. So leakel is Rabbi Eliezer. Now the Gemara is going to ask a question on Rabbi Eliezer. Amar le Abaye, top line. B'mayo kimta l'safek nezirut leakel ki Rabbi Eliezer. What's the case of safek nezirut to be lenient, like Rabbi Eliezer? What's that case? Ema seifa. Maybe what's that case? Because in the seifa, the latter part of a Mishnah, we can ask a question on Rabbi Eliezer. Safek bechorot. If you have a case of a safek of a bechor, so we know if a person has an animal, and this animal has a firstborn, so that firstborn goes to the Kohen and has kedusha to it. Now, there could be a safek because I don't know if it's its firstborn or not. But another safek could be if it had twins, let's say, and we don't know which one came out first, the boy or the girl, and a girl bechora is not kedusha. It's just a boy. So too could be also with a human being with pidyon haben. You could have a lady who's pregnant with twins, and somehow they didn't realize which baby came out first. Was it a boy or the girl? So is there pidyon haben or is it not pidyon haben? Right. So safek bechorot says the Gemara. Safek bechorot. Echad bechore adam. Echad bechore behema. Be it if it's a bechor from a human being. Be it if it's a bechor from an animal. Ben teme'ah, ben tehora, be it if it's tameh or if it's tahor. I'm not sure what does it say over there? Like it's just if it's tameh or tahor. Is there any more to it? What does it say ben tameh, ben tahor? Does it add to what the case is? Either non-kosher or kosher. Oh, this is, I think, because if you have a firstborn a donkey, yes, right, that's what we're talking about. So not actually tameh, like you became tameh or tahor. So yeah, tameh animal or tahor animal. So what's the ruling in that case? So says the Gemara, hamotzi mechavero alav haraya. The person that wants to take it. That wants to take this bechor, it's on him to prove that it indeed was the firstborn. So if let's say it now it's supposed to go to a Kohen, and the Kohen wants to take it, he says, "Oh, that's a bechor that goes to a Kohen. I'm a Kohen. Let me take it." So he says, "Well, bring a proof that it's indeed the firstborn, because if you don't bring a proof, then you can't take it." So I think it could also be if the Kohen stole it without permission. Well, it's a firstborn, and now it's in his possession. I think even the owner might need to bring a proof to get it back, that it's not a firstborn. But you need a proof But at the same time, so let's say the owner remains with it. V'tani Allah, but it's taught on that case. V'asulim begiza v'avoda. But this bechor, that's a safek bechor, it's asur to shear it, and it's asur to work it, because it has kedusha. So we see over here that safek bechorot. So on the one hand, we said, well, it's a safek, therefore Kohen, prove it. So it's not a bechor, but at the same time, we remain with its kedusha. That means we go like safek lachmir, because if it's safek lahakel, then you would say, well, it's not a bechor and do whatever you want with it. We're seeing over here it's safek lachmir. We're stringent on it because we don't allow you to shear it or to work it. Answers the Gemara, Amar Le. Amai kamedamit. Why are you comparing kedusha haba'a me'eleha likdusha haba'a b'idei adam? Why are you comparing kedusha that comes on its own to kedusha that comes through human beings? So the Gemara is answering as follows. The Gemara wants to ask a question on Abaye from Nazir, from Bechor, meaning Abaye. Abaye wants to ask a question on Rabbi Eliezer from Bechor. Rabbi Eliezer's opinion is Safek Nazirut Lehakel. When it comes to Safek of Nazir, lenient. Hold on a second. In the case of Bechor, we have a Safek Bechor and we're stringent. We're stringent because we don't allow it to work. So we're stringent. So it's a question on you, Rabbi Eliezer. So the Gemara, it says you can't compare the two because the line of comparison wanted to be that this is kedusha, that's kedusha. That being a nazir is also a form of kedusha. This is kedusha. So, and also nazir, you have korbanot at the end you have to bring. So it's not just an oath. I'm not going to eat meat. It's taking on a kadosh responsibility. So the Gemara says you can't compare the two because nazir is a kedusha that came through man, making a promise that he wants to be a nazir, whereas the kedusha of a bechor came from Hashem, came from on its own. Hashem says when there's a firstborn animal, that's it, there's kedusha. So there's no nazir that could be a kedusha unless, let's say, I think there is a lady nazir. If a lady's nazir is pregnant and has a baby, does that baby become an automatic nazir? I'm not sure. We'll have to learn Masechet Nazir, which is next, Ezrat Hashem, to see that. But I don't think there's an automatic nazir case. I think all nazir has to be through promises. So you can't compare the two. And therefore the Gemara wants to answer that when it comes to Bechor, which is Nazirut Me'eleha from Hashem, Nazirut on its own, that it's more stringent. Whereas Nazirut La'akel, whereas the Kedusha that comes from Bidei Adam, which is like Nazir, we can be lenient. Let's see the run on the left side, second line down. Echad Bechor Adam, Echad Bechor Behema. Be it a Bechor of an Adam, be it a Bechor of Behema. Kegon, for instance, what's a Safek? Sheyada Zachar Nekeva. This woman or this animal had two children, a male and a female. Ve'enyadua eze hotzi rosho rishon. We don't know which one stuck its head out first. So why does the Ran have to say that to us? Maybe we just don't know which one came out first. So it's less possible maybe to not know which one came out first. Like there's usually time in between. You usually see which one is first. But could be that stuck its head out and then put it back in and then another one came out. We don't know which one stuck its head out first, and the one sticks its head out first is actually the one that's the Bechor.
Yeah, it goes by the head.
What?
It usually goes by the head, or it's still a suffix.
So now we know that Yaakov caught Esav's ankle before he stuck his head out.
Is it so?
Oh yeah. He wanted him to. He
pulled him back.
Right. He wanted to try pulling him back. Yeah. No, but 1 second. But no, they saw his hand on his ankle.
His head must have been. Yeah.
No, but they saw his hand on his ankle. They saw Yaakov's when Esav came out. They saw Yaakov's hand on it. Yeah, so that's so it could have been. So when did he pull it out? When did he hold on to his ankle? Yeah. Chazak. Okay.
See a video.
gonna happen in another case.
Right. Nobody watches here. They're gonna watch the 5,000 years ago. They probably didn't know there was twins.
I think they knew more than
You think?
Okay.
that.
Let's read the run. Skip one and go to the next one. The first word is amai. It's about 8 lines down in the thin lines. Amai kamedamit kedusha haba'a me'elea lekedusha haba'a b'dei adam. Why are you comparing kedusha that comes on its own to kedusha that comes on its own and comes from Hashem to kedusha that comes through man? Mishum de kedusha haba'a b'dei adam, because kedusha that comes through man. Who the ikala meimar? That on that we could say the high gavra lo gamar leilui nafshe umamone lesveka. We could say that maybe this person didn't complete in himself to raise his soul and his money for a safek. Meaning, according to Rabbi Eliezer, according to Rabbanan, that said safek is lachmir. Their understanding, if you remember from before, was like in the case was the case of the koi. The koi was the safek if it's a behema or a chaya. A person says, I want to offer a behema and chaya to the Bet HaMikdash, so Rabbanan say the koi is included, and the Rebbe Eliezer says no, because Rabbanan hold that when you promise something, that means you're also going to put your money on the table through that promise. So when it comes to bidei adam, says Rebbe Eliezer, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's putting his that's really his opinion. The koi it's not obligated, and so too over here when it comes to Nazirut, if it's in a case of safek, we don't say that the guy put his money in the line or he really case of safek. In a case of real, I'm a Nazir, okay, you're fully there. But in the case of safek, the guy says I'm going to be a Nazir if there's 100 pounds of wheat over there. Well, you didn't commit yourself fully until you cleared up that safek. Aval bikdusha ba'abidei shamayim, but kedusha that comes from shamayim lekalamim arachi. You don't say that the atu biyadehu. It's not in his hands. So therefore, it's not in his hands. And if it's bechor for sure, okay, he's committed. If it's a safek bechor, he doesn't have a choice. That it comes from Hashem, so he'll have to deal with the results. Safek bechor, maybe ask the rabbis, am I obligated, not obligated? He'll need to, but he has no control over it. So that we could be more stringent. Okay, back to the Gemara. Ella. 3, 6, 8 lines down. Ella, rather, because the Gemara tried to ask a question on Rabbi Eliezer, and the Gemara answered this answer. So now the Gemara says, Ella I kasha. Rather, if you want to ask a question, hakasha. Here is a question that you could ask on Rabbi Eliezer. Says the Gemara, Safek mashkin li tameh tameh. A safek of drinks, so on liquids, if it's tameh or not, we say it's tameh. Let's just quickly jump to the run on the left side. Safek mashkin, keep going. Sheoshi tameh yado levena mashkin. A person who's tameh, he took his hand and he stuck it into a barrel. Ve'en yadua im nagaben. We don't know if he touched it or not. And we saw this guy. The guy has a shop, and he has a barrel of wine. He sticks his hand in, and he walks away. That guy was tameh. The guy's gone. Did he touch it? Did he not touch it? So safek on this mashkin, on this liquid, if it's tameh or not, we say tameh.
How do you know the guy is tameh?
We don't. Whenever some guy walked by afterwards, he's like, right, he's like, that guy just touched the thing. That guy's tameh. Well, we don't know if he touched it or not. Go get it up. He's gone.
No, I understand the situation, but like by the look, how can you tell that guy is tameh or not?
No, this guy knows. Whatever. This guy knew that this guy was tameh for whatever reason. You just had a conversation with him. Yeah, I just came and touched. I came from a funeral, touched a dead body. Yeah, it's crazy. Whatever. Walks by, he sees him in the shoe, touches the thing. What the heck is this guy tameh? Right, so he calls a whole ruckus. Right? So now do we know is the liquid tameh or not? So the Gemara says, Safek mashkin letameh, Safek on liquid. If it's tameh, we say tameh. Letameh achirim tahor. But for that liquid to make others tameh, no, we say it's tahor for that. It doesn't make others tameh. Also, when it comes to when it comes to tumah, there's different levels of tumah. The dead body is the avi avota tumah. That's the highest level of tumah, as was the dead animal. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So there's a dead animal, a dead sheret, a dead like a frog, a dead one of those. So if a person touches a dead body, he is an avatuma. That's avi avot, and he's an avatuma. And then if that person touches someone, he's a rishon l'tuma. If that person touches someone, he's a sheni l'tuma. And then I think shlishi. I think by then it's already now each law there's a different thing. So a person who touched the dead body, I think he could make everything tameh, including food, including a person that's a rishon could make a sheni tameh, a human being, but I don't think you can make tameh food or this and that. So if let's say but let's say you made food tameh. Let's say a person touches the dead body, then he touched food, and now someone eats the food. Do they become tameh? Do they not become tameh? So a lot of rules regarding that. And when Bet HaMikdash comes, we got to be ready for tumah v'tahara again. So this liquid could become tameh in the safek, but does not give off tumah. It's tahor if it touches someone. The Rabbi Meir. That is the words of Rabbi Meir. Chenaya Rabbi Elazar Omer Kidvarav, and so too Rabbi Elazar said like him. And it seems like Rabbi Elazar over here should have been Rabbi Eliezer. So it seems like does it say that over there? Because we're asking a question on Rabbi Eliezer.
Elazar. And to the Elazar say like,
Earlier was Rabbi Elazar.
Yeah, earlier was Rabbi Eliezer. So then we're asking a question on.
but from here on it says Elazar.
I think at some point they changed it.
No, Elazar.
No, that doesn't.
So yeah, attribute this very Mishnah to Elazar.
It doesn't comment on the bottom that.
I remember reading the unblended to Elazar and Eliezer.
Explain right. But then the commentary from the Mishnah was from Rabbi Elazar.
So we're asking a question on Rabbi Eliezer. So I was wondering also how do we ask a question if it's
The Mishnah. Hold on a second. Number 9. Hold on a second. The following version of Gemara's question. The version of the Mishnah. Here, Rabbi Elazar. The first.
What is the question?
Earlier, on the Amud before,
we're talking the whole time about Rabbi Eliezer.
Eliezer, but now all of a sudden it's Rabbi Elazar.
No, it's the same.
It's the same.
What do you mean it's the same?
Hagagol V'Tzionim says Elazar, so it corrects.
Oh, earlier.
From Eliezer to Elazar.
1 second.
So it wasn't Rabbi Eliezer.
Eliezer.
Earlier.
Eliezer and Elazar is the same.
In this case, where's that group? Let's see here. Yeah, Elazar. The Rashash changed it from the beginning. On the Gemara earlier, when it said Machloket Rabbanan and Rabbi Eliezer, already there, the Rashash changed it to Elazar, probably because of this Gemara there. Okay. Says the Rashash. Okay, fine. So now, he says, this is the Gemara. If you want to ask a question on Rabbi Elazar, here's the question. If there's a safek on this liquid, we say it's tameh. But can the liquid make other people tameh? No, tahor. Divrei Rabbi Meir. That's the words of Rabbi Meir. V'chenaya Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar also goes with the Rabbi Meir's opinion. Says the Gemara, Umis vira Rabbi Elazar litameh tameh. Does Rabbi Elazar hold that this liquid becomes tameh? Safek tameh. That's the chumrah. Does he hold that? V'atanya, we have a braita. Rabbi Elazar Omer, entum ale mashkin kol ikar. That Rabbi Elazar says actually a different thing, that there's no tameh when it comes to liquid at all. No tameh. So how could you safek tameh make it?
So if I spread liquid on you that's tameh, and I put it on you, that you don't become tameh?
It seems like there's no tumah on liquid.
I'll tell my wife.
No tumah on liquid.
How can you make it too much, but just touching it, for example, barrel? You need to have more than 60, 60%, you know, the
160.
160.
No, that's 160 is the rule.
That's for kashrut.
Kashrut and taste.
So
No.
the tuma is not part of the kashrut here. It's
No.
a
Not all the
separate
shish.
thing called tuma.
Exactly, yeah. So back
When
in
we
the
talk
day,
about food, right? Yeah.
yeah, well, back in the day, and even now, to certain, even now, there's, but more back in the day, there's a concept called too much. Like Nisan was asking for, you can't see it, right? So that's how do we know that guy was tameh? So he knew the story, right? So you can't see tuma, and tuma is a state that you're in. It's not a sin to be tameh unless you're a kohen. We'll explain that in a moment, and it's just a state that you're in. Now, certain things you need to be tahor to do, like to bring a korban, you need to be tahor. And back in the day, also, if you were, we're very touchy-feely people. We'd say hi, people give kisses, this and that. Back in the day, they were a little bit cautious with that because if someone was tameh, it would make them tameh.
Right.
And now they're tameh, they can't do the korban pesach. They couldn't do, right? So if they tahor, then they're tahor. So tameh you can become by dead body, or dead animals, dead rodents, etc. By touching them, being in the same room as them, and then you spread that by touching someone else. So then you go to the mikveh,
But
or
we're
you wait a
talking
few
about
days.
people here mostly, right? Not about food. That's why.
Yeah. So if you touch food though, it becomes, or let's say tzarat was a form of tum'ah. Tzarat in the house makes everything tameh in the house. So food could also become tameh.
Is Chazir
The
Tameh?
the house could have tzarat.
Is
So the
Chazir
house,
Tameh?
I don't think chazir make tameh. We call it tameh, but I don't think it makes a person tameh. Just a live animal. I don't think.
By the way,
a
one of-
sheretz?
A live one? I don't think so. I don't think it makes. I
my
think it
rabbi
has to be
wouldn't
dead.
have to shake hands in the one of them, like wouldn't shake hands in the shul.
With anyone because of this.
Yeah, because everyone is like many people don't do Asher Yasser and etc. They're tameh all the time, like and even here, I'm pretty sure it's the same. So when you walk around, we go.
So the only thing you need to separate is if a person's a kohen. If a person's a kohen, you can't actively become tameh. That's asur from the Torah. You can't go to a cemetery.
by
You
mistake.
can't. If by mistake it happens, by mistake. Meaning, even though now they can't become tahor, they can go to the mikveh, but they can't have. There's no ashes of the paraduma, etc. So they can't become tahor in any way. But to actively be tameh, they can't do unless it's for the 7 relatives, etc. But they can't go to the cemetery. So if they know someone is tameh to touch their hand, I don't know if that's a prohibition for a kohen. I don't think so. If let's say I know you just came from the cemetery, can a kohen shake that person's hands? I don't think that's a violation. I don't think so.
So a dead
I think it's
animal is tameh even today?
But a kohen, I don't think needs to avoid that tuma. It's just dead bodies.
Just because we're talking about it. But a non-Jewish person who passes away is not tameh.
It's not
correct?
tameh. It's not
A
tameh.
Kohen can be.
Yeah, I think
So
we
yeah,
did
so a
Rabbanan,
Kohen
there's
can go
the-
to a non-Jewish cemetery?
I think technically
Yes.
yes. Now the someone would say, what's the thing? So the answer is that we have kedusha. So when there's kedusha, when there's a void of kedusha, we become tameh. If someone doesn't have kedusha, they don't have tuma either. So we could get on a high level through kedusha, and if we remove that kedusha, then there's a vacuum, there's an emptiness, and that's tuma. But if there is no kedusha, there's no tuma. So it's not.
So
like,
then if a Kohen is driving, and the example to Florida, driving to a small town, there's a cemetery on the left and a cemetery on the right, he has no problem driving through.
if it's a non-Jewish cemetery, yeah. But if it's
I was thinking that on
you thinking that when
no,
you're
on here on Senlak, right? I was driving the other day. The ways took me crazy going to the thing, and then there's a cemetery on the
both
left, right here, and there's a cemetery on the right, and there's trees.
exactly.
So I'm thinking, I'm like, whoa, if Kohen doesn't know,
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of the Kohanim know, but then you're telling me
Yeah,
it
so
doesn't make a difference.
for non-Jewish, yeah. For trees, that's a good thing also because if you have a grave under a tree acts like a roof. So you can't be under that tree if there's a grave under that tree also. So it acts like a roof. So a lot of laws. So that's a Kohen needs to be actively aware of this. A non-Kohen doesn't need to be because nowadays we're all basically tameh, and we don't have a sin. Becoming tameh is not a sin. It's just the state that you're in. And now that you're in that state, you have certain rules. You can't bring a
You can
korban.
still pray,
You can't
you
eat
can
your
still
you can still
learn.
pray. You can still learn, etc. Yeah. But yeah, people when it was times of tumah v'tahara, they avoided touching amaretz because in amaretz he doesn't know the rules. He touches things, this and that. So the guy's for sure tameh. He doesn't go to the mikveh. He doesn't. So they would avoid touching. They would avoid. So now you say your rabbi did that. could be there's something to it, just like an extra precaution, but not in a halachic way. And nowadays, you need to worry unless Kohen, dead bodies. I don't think if I know someone went to a funeral, Kohen can't touch that person. I don't think that it's extended to there. Okay, so so I want to ask a question of Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar says safek of the liquid. And just to answer your thing, so the 160th has to do with just food. When milk falls into meat accidentally, and there's 60 times the amount of meat, then it erases, so to speak, there's no taste of milk anymore. So that has to do with the 160th has to do with actual taste. Okay, so we're asking a question of Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar over here says safek on liquid is tameh. Safek on if that liquid touches someone, we say it's tahor. Rabbi Elazar goes with that. And we say, does he say that? There's no tum'ah when it comes to liquid at all. Teda is I'll prove it. Because Yossi ben Yoazer, ish tzereda testified. Al ayil kamtza dachan. Ayil kamtza is a certain type of grasshopper. This is just a side point that we're just quoting two things that Rabbi Yosef ben Elazar testified on. He said, Ayil kamtza dachan. Dachan is another word for tahor.
There's a picture here.
Oh, let's see. There we go.
We know what it is.
Here, there's the picture. It's like a mantis, no? What does it say? What does it say the name is?
We have the same book.
Looks delicious.
Yeah. Dachan, tahor. Chazak.
The Temanim, maybe.
Yeah, for Taiwanese.
It's only one kind of.
If you don't have the
No,
Is Temanim really good?
if you don't have the tradition,
No, if you have
it's
the
not-
tradition.
Only the Temanim can eat it today.
If you
No,
have
it's
the
not a tradition.
they
Certain
cook it,
Moroccans
never-
had.
yeah?
Certain Moroccans
Then
had
you can
certain.
eat.
If you never stopped eating it, if
But
you're
no,
fat,
no.
yeah.
I mean, if they cook, you can eat because they know.
Because they say
They know the tradition.
They know the tradition. You cannot cook and eat, but
I'm not cooking it for you, don't worry.
Avishai before he goes.
Thy brother-in-law's Temanim. Maybe he'll
Maybe you
make
can
it.
find it out. Okay, so Yosef ben Yoazer that said, this term grasshopper is tahor, and also al mashkin bet mitav chaya, liquids that were in the bet hamikdash, dachan are also tahor. So this is talking about any blood, any water that was in the room with the dead animals, touching the dead animals, tahor also. Okay, so let's read some runs and then we'll see further what the question is over here. Let's look at entuma lemashkin called ikar, 3 lines up in the thin lines. Mideoraita, there's no tum'ah when it comes to liquid. Al kamtzah chagav sheshmo ayil. There's a certain type of grasshopper that's called ayil. Dachan tahor v'kasher la'achila. That's what dachan means. It's tahor, and you're allowed to eat it. Ve'al mashke be'mitbachaya dachan. And the liquid of the bet mitbachayim, like where the slaughtering is in the Bet HaMikdash, it was tahor. The kevan de tum'at mashkin midirabanan, since tum'ah of liquids is midirabanan, meaning mideoraita, there's no issue. Since it's midirabanan, b'mashke bet mitbachaya lo gazru. They were not gozer in the Bet HaMikdash that the liquids there were tameh. They did not gozer that, meaning midirabanan, they were gozer, it's tameh outside of the Bet HaMikdash, not in the Bet HaMikdash. Not in order not to add more tum'ah in the Bet HaMikdash, like, oh, that's tameh, that's liquid now, touch the dead animal, whatever. No. Given the tumat mashkim midirabanan, hechi machmarinan v'svakayu. And now, if tum'ah of mashkin is midirabanan, why are we stringent on its safek? That's where the question's coming from. Meaning, we're asking, the Gemara says, you want to ask a question on Rabbi Elazar? Here's a question on Rabbi Elazar. That he holds safek of Nezirut is la'akel. Then we say over here, but Rabbi Elazar agrees to Rabbi Meir in this case of safek litameh mashkin is tameh. But hold on a second. We see that it's only midirabanan. So why are you saying a safek midirabanan? In general, safek midirabanan is lekula, is lenient. Safek midirabanan. Why are you saying a safek midirabanan is going to be stringent? The Gemara continues. Last one on the line is hanicha. Hanicha l'Shmuel. This is good according to Shmuel. The Amar dachan miletame acherim. Aval tumat atzman yesh bahen shapir. It's good according to Shmuel. It says that it's tahor from making other things tameh. Aval the tuma itself yesh bahen, but it is tameh itself shapir, that it's good. El Rav the Amar dachan mamash ma'ikalemem. According to Rav, that says it's mamash tahor. What could you say? So let's see the run. Back to the run, left side. Third line down in the middle sized lines. It's good according to Shmuel that says it's tahor from making other people tameh, but itself is tameh. Nicha, it's good. The mishum the tumat atzman mideoraita as lina bisfika yulechumra. Because Shmuel says that mashkin is tameh mideoraita. So that it's tameh itself is mideoraita. So therefore, a safek mideoraita is lechumra. But to make other things, that's a second safek, so that we go lenient. But so that's good according to Shmuel. But according to Rav, that it's tameh, that it's tahor fully. Dafil tumat atzman midirabanan. That tuma itself is midirabanan. Michael, what could you say? And then we're going to read the next run in a moment. But the question here is as follows: that Rabbi Eliezer says, in general, we said safek nezirut lahakel, but then we're quoting him with Rabbi Meir that says a safek of tum'ah is tameh, and a safek of tum'ah is tameh. But now we're saying that safek of tum'ah is midirabanan, is not even midoraita. And according to Rav, it's mamash midirabanan. So why are you stringent? That's the question. Let's see the next run. Ma'ika lememar. Havalan lemeza bisfakayu lekula. We should have went with its safek lenient. We should have went lenient with its safek. 1 second. I take a look at the article. Just want to make sure that my cheshbon over here is correct. Now, if liquids were susceptible to tumah, biblically, according to the Torah, no exception could be made for the liquids of a butchering place. Thus, Yosef ben Yoazer's testimony indicates that in his opinion, liquids are susceptible to tumah only rabbinically. Since Rabbi Elazar based his opinion on that of Yosef ben Yoazer, he must also hold that liquids cannot become tameh except rabbinic decree. But if so, how could Rabbi Elazar rule stringently where the application of this law is in doubt? What is rule stringently? That's in the case of tum'at mashkin tameh tameh. 19 here. Yeah, we agree to Rabbi Meir. Right. Why does he rule stringently? The Gemara qualifies. So this Anicha the Shmuel, it is all right according to Shmuel that said Yosef ben Yoazer's testimony that liquids of the butchering place are tahor in the sense that they are precluded from contaminating other things. About the tumat atzman yesh, the tumat itself they have, and that's midoraita, as we saw in the Ran. Okay, so that works well. If so, Rabbi Elazar's opinion in the second Braita fits well with his opinion in the first Braita. What's the first Braita? Yeah, so looking at number 21 if you have it. According to Shmuel, Rabbi Elazar meant to prove from Yosef ben Elazar's testimony only that Tamei liquids do not have the biblical capacity to contaminate other things. But like Yosef ben Elazar, Rabbi Elazar concedes that liquids themselves can become Tamei biblically. Since Rabbi Elazar holds that liquids themselves are biblically simple to Tumah, he understood why he rules stringently in the first Braita. Okay, so according to Shmuel, that the as we read in the Ran, that the liquids themselves are tameh mideoraita, safek deoraita lechumra. That's why Rabbi Elazar agrees to Rabbi Meir earlier that a safek on the liquid is tameh. But according to Rav, that said Yosef ben Elazar's testimony meant that the butchering place liquids are literally tahor and are not susceptible to tumah at all. What is there to say? So, let's see. In Rav's view, number 22 down here, in Rav's view, Yosef ben Elazar holds that liquids do not even become tameh themselves under biblical law. It was the rabbis who gave liquids this capacity, and they did not apply the decree to the liquids of the butchering place. Meaning it's all midirabanan, and safek midirabanan should be lenient. 23. According to Rav's interpretation, Rabbi Elazar sought to derive from Yosef ben Elazar's testimony that liquids themselves cannot become tameh biblically. Hence, this capacity must be a rabbinic innovation. But if so, in the case of the first Braita, where it is questionable whether liquids themselves become tameh, why did Rabbi Elazar rule stringently? He ought to have applied the rule safek derabanan l'chula. Okay.
Think about Hanukkah.
What? Well, let's stay on this train over here. So we're still good with what I was saying. Now let's see the. Okay. So we want to say over here if it's.
What's going on, buddy?
We want to say over here.
I'm okay. How are you?
The question is, if Rabbi Elazar rules according to Rav, where tum'ah is midirabanan on liquids, then why did Rabbi Elazar say it's tameh? It's safek derabanan lekula.
Right.
And earlier, he said safek nazir le'akel. So that's a contradiction in Rabbi Elazar. Safek nazir, you say lenient. Safek mashkimi derabanan, you say stringent. What's going on? So that's the question that we're asking Rabbi Elazar. Meaning, if you're stringent on the Rabbanan, you must be stringent on the Deoraita as well, which is Nazirut, is Deoraita. What does this go to? In the next piece, I plan to stop here, and it says I knew this was a question on Rabbi Elazar. See, it emerges that according to Rav, the Mishnah in Tahorot, a doubt involving Nazirut is treated leniently cannot be attributed to Rabbi Elazar. The Gemara is thus faced again with its original problem. Why does our Mishnah rule that indeterminate Nedarim, Safek Nedarim, are treated stringently, whereas this other Mishnah states that a questionable vow of Nazirut is treated leniently. So basically like this, it comes out from this, if you want to ask a question, Rabbi Elazar, here's the question. It comes out that Rabbi Elazar, according to Rav, is going to be stringent on a Safek di Rabbanan, and therefore on a Safek de Oraita, Nazirut is going to be lenient. So the Gemara is saying it can't be Rabbi Elazar there, therefore that says Safek Nazirut La'akel. We had a Tanan, it started off with a Mishnah, Safek Nazirut La'akel. So he says it can't be Rabbi Elazar.
Yes.
What is this,
Okay.
Josh is out. And Salty's got connections. I can know tomorrow with her.
Out of the army?
Yeah, out.
Done. Finished
Salty
his army.
pulled it. I don't know how my wife just pulled this thing out.
Out for,
He finished his service.
Finish service. You don't.
So they wanted
They
to
wanted
sign
him 4 more months. They said you're not going nowhere. My wife, she called the connections with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's amazing, this woman.
Wow. Okay, fine. So we're gonna stop over here by Ella. Continue there tomorrow night, and basically, again, that we because of this question of Rabbi Elazar, we want to undo where it said Safek Nezirut La'akel, it can't be Rabbi Elazar, and then we're gonna try say, okay, so who is it then? And we'll start with that tomorrow. Is what the show.
Thank you very much.
this is an